Hello and peace to the tribe. I'm New Diamonds here with a Sonic 3 review and decoding. I hope everyone out there is doing well today. And yes, let's jump right into it, okay? This was another amazing movie. I was not expecting for all of this action, all of the signs, all of the symbols, and all of the synchronicities to pop out like this, but I knew it was gonna be a good movie, okay? If you don't know anything about Sonic, I suggest you tap in, family. It just dawned on me that Sonic was an alien. He is not from planet Earth, but he came here to help, and it's given a sense of light workers, okay? Everyone out there who's on this mission to help save their friends, help save their family, operate from love and justice, okay? That's what you always say. I'm Blue Justice, and I'm here to fight for what's right, fight for love, and enjoy it and have fun. He has this childlike nature, and he's just all about having fun, jokes, dancing, and doing what's right. Okay, so using his powers for good. Okay, that's really like the moral of the story. Okay, the movie first starts off with Shadow in a cryostasis state. And he's having these flashbacks, he's having these memories of when he was free, and he's holding this little girl's hand, and they're running, they're playing, and immediately it just gave me this sense of your shadow and your inner child are one, your shadow and your inner child are synced. And a lot of memories may stem from your childhood, good and bad, but the shadow and the inner child are together. They are one, and you must mend the two in order for them to work in harmony. I know y'all hear the crows. The crows are crowing, okay? But it's this dark energy that must be remembered, okay? You must go deep within, go into that meditation state to mend with your shadow and mend with that inner child at this time, okay? Then the next scene was as he's in cryostasis, this heartbeat flickers. So his heartbeat flickers, and he has this pulse of energy. And as the heartbeat pulses, he kind of moves and flickers. And at that moment, I was like, wow, this is all connected to the heart. Okay, this is all centered in the heart. Memories of good things, memories of bad things when it comes to yourself, but it all stems from the heart. That's how you do that shadow work. Okay, that's how you do that inner child work, is by going within and releasing things, old past traumas of the heart to revitalize yourself. And as the heartbeat flickers, this army comes in, and they're just like on standby, ready to shoot and attack him. And then his eyes open up. As his eyes open up, boom, Sonic 3, the movie started. I'm like, I'm going crazy because immediately as soon as it cut on, I already see the symbolism. I'm like, oh wow, this is gonna be great. My kids are going out there like, Mommy, it's Shadow. We've been waiting so long. My kids, they love Sonic. And it's the sense of nostalgia, okay? Because Sonic was something that was brought up in the 80s, okay? And it's, still living on generation for generation. And in the movie theater, it was all generations, from the children to the grandparents. I've seen every age group in there watching the movie. Another thing I thought was very interesting was the date that they dropped it on. They dropped it on 12/20, okay? The end of Sagittarius season, going into this Capricorn winter solstice, the underworld energy. And I was like, wow, they dropped this at a very interesting time. So I was like, it's gonna be a lot of synchronicities just with this movie alone and what's going on in today's time. But yeah, so that's how the movie starts. Then it cuts from that to Sonic playing. He's playing with Knuckles, he's playing with Tails, and immediately as soon as it shows all of them, it zooms in on their eyes. Zooms in on Sonic eyes, zooms in on Knuckles eyes, zooms in on Tails eyes. And I'm like, wow, it's giving a sense of the Holy Trinity, mind, body, spirit. I say this because Tails is the mind, you know, he has, it's very androgynous, you know, that you don't really know unless you're just really tapped into the energy. But Tails is the mastermind. He has all of these tools, all of these technology behind everything. Then you have Knuckles. That's the muscle. That's, you know, his name is Knuckles. And he is the body. He's the red. Tails is the yellow. That is that power. That is that solar plexus. And then you have Sonic. I feel like Sonic is the soul. Sonic is the spirit. Sonic is the heart with that blue. So we have the mind, body, spirit. They're the Holy Trinity. They're coming together and they are racing. Okay. So it starts off with them racing, and then Sonic gets to the end of the race and he's like, haha, I beat y'all again. And then he's looking at his friends. He's like, wait a minute, something's off here. So he touches them. He's like, oh, this is a hologram. It wasn't really Knuckles or Tails. It was a hologram. He's like, so where are my friends at? So he races, he runs, and he's like, oh, soon as he pulls up, it's this huge surprise. Tom and his wife, they're like, oh, happy birthday. Knuckles and Tails are like, happy birthday, Sonic. And he's like, you guys tricked me to have a surprise party for me. Thank you so much. What do you mean it's my birthday? What is that? And Tom explains to him, you know, it's been 1 year since you've been on Earth and you've done nothing but bring this family together. You changed our lives for the better, and we're just so happy that you came into our lives. And Sonic was like, oh, like, that's so sweet. Like, I appreciate it. I love you guys so much. And they do this big old group hug and, you know, oh, yay, rejoice. In the middle of them rejoicing, helicopters, thunderstorms, all this crazy chaos comes in, and they're like, they all look at Sonic like, what did you do? Sonic like, I didn't do nothing. What do you mean? What did I do? Because the gun, which is really like the government in this movie, they're like, they come in whenever Sonic is doing something or any extraterrestrial activity is happening. So they come in and they're like, Sonic, we need your help. There's some activity going on and we need Team Sonic to help us. And Sonic is like, what, Team Sonic? All right. Knuckles and Tails like, no, it ain't Team Sonic. We can help, but we don't like the name. They like, come on. Like, so it's a sense of really getting out your ego and getting into your heart for the bigger picture, for the bigger mission, right? When it comes to family and working together, right? Sometimes we may not agree on certain things, but we have to put our ego to the side or put our differences to the side to work together for the bigger picture, for the collective, in order to save humanity, okay? So Sonic is like, all right, you guys, before we go on this trip, let me gather up my things. Let me get prepared for this trip. And they're like, okay. So as Sonic is getting ready to go, Tom is like, hey, you know, I want you to never forget who you are. Always make sure to, you know, to keep your heart intact. Never lose faith of that. And Sonic is like, okay, like, all right, I won't lose faith of what's in here. I won't lose sight of what's in here, what's in my heart, you know, because I'm always operating from my heart and operating from love. And I never want to lose myself in anything else other than that. All right. So Tom was like, okay, cool. So as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles get ready to go off, they flash back to Shadow, and Shadow he opens up his eyes, and they're like, oh no, he's about to break out. And soon as Shadow is about to break out, he's thinking about when he first got put in there. He's like, oh man, like he's basically coming back into consciousness of, you know, okay, where am I? Where am I at? What was the last thing I was doing? So last thing he remembers is him being with this little girl, being with his friend, and they were playing around. She was showing him, you know, the world, and it was a sense of his only friend. That was the only friend that he had, because the government put him in this cryo state. They ran tests on him. He was an experiment the whole time. And they were always afraid of him because he was different. And while he was in an incubation tank, this little girl came to him and, was, how children are. They're very open. They're very kind-hearted. And she would begin to play with Shadow and was like, it's nothing to be afraid of. She drew him as a bunny and he thought that was funny. He was like, oh, okay, like she's not afraid of me. She just sees me for who I am, a spirit. And he got out of the cryo state. This is in his mind, in his memory. And she would just do fun kid-like things with him. And she took him out to the stars and they watched the stars. And he was like, wow, there's so many stars. And she was like, yeah. She was like, up there somewhere where you come from. And he's like, well, I don't know where I come from. And she was like, well, you're from Earth now and it's okay. You're one of us. And they just sit there and they watch the moon together. And it was a very beautiful, intimate moment when you're bonding with someone, making friends, and you're just seen as a spirit. So it was a sense of her being her childlike essence, in the sense of innocence, the sense of purity, the sense of freedom. Okay, there was no programming on her mind to think, he is this highly cosmic being with all of these powers of the universe to do all these things. She said, no, he's just a spirit and, he should be treated as such. And literally in that instant, he flashes back, looks back, and then it's like everything shatters. He punches through the glass. He breaks out. They're getting ready to shoot. Before they can even shoot him, he's like teleporting. I don't even know what type of superpower this is called, but he was just like, it wasn't even moving. He was just like appearing and disappearing and chopping them, killing them, going crazy. I'm like, yo, like the Shadow is nothing to be played with. And it's kind of like when you have this untamed Shadow, this chaos energy, this anger, this hate, it's almost like nothing can stop you. You have this energy, this chaos energy. And that's exactly what he was doing. He was just popping it out of thin air, killing them. It was about 12 people in the room. He killed them all. And the people in the back were like, what are we going to do? They was like, just set the alarm. He out. Let everybody know, Shadow is out and he is run for the hills. Like, it's nothing we could do about this because he is this ultimate power. He doesn't even know how strong and how powerful he is. So just sound off the alarm. He breaks out and he's like, yeah, I'm never coming back here. This is like hell. This is torture. So he leaves. He goes to Tokyo. And as soon as he steps out foot on Tokyo, he sees the big lights of Tokyo. It says 2024. He looks at the day. He said, I've been locked up for 50 years. He said, oh, no. He starts going crazy. Like, they had me captive for 50 years. Like, I cannot believe this. And soon as he's in the midst of going crazy, army forces come down. They're trying to kill him, trying to shoot him, kind of trying to contain him. They can't. He's moving fast. He's vanishing, reappearing, camouflaging with things, shooting out lightning. Like, I'm like, yo, I don't know how anybody is going to stop this Shadow because he has so much power, and it's the sense of rage. You could just sense the rage in his heart. Something has happened in the past to where it's fueling him. And it flashes back to Sonic and Knuckles and Tails, and they're on a helicopter flying to where he's at. They was like, so how are we going to find him? And they see big explosions, and they're like, okay, that's where he's at. So they all like free fall into this chaos energy. And soon as they get down, they're looking for Shadow. They don't see Shadow. And then Shadow appears. He just reveals himself. And Knuckles, Knuckles is, Knuck if you buck, he be ready to fight. That's his thing. So he's like, nah, let me at him. Let me take a shot at him. And they're like, no, like if the government is afraid of him, we need to take our time because we don't really know what we're up against. Knuckles like, nah, I'm about to go and attack him first. That's my motto. You already know. Fight first, ask questions later. So he goes to fight Shadow. Before he can even touch Shadow, Shadow had a fist to his face and laid him out. And I was like, wow, you know, Knuckles is the muscle. But he couldn't stop Shadow. And then Shadow goes up to Tails and knocks down Tails. And then Shadow goes to Sonic and beats up Sonic. And then Sonic is like, okay, he beat us all up, but what are we about to do? Like, we need to regroup, we need to leave, and we need to try again. We need to ask Gun, what is up with this Shadow, because we know nothing about him. We know nothing of his true power, and we need more details before we just up here trying to kill this mass destruction of chaos energy. Like, we can't do it. So they back down. Shadow is just roaming the streets and being very destructive, and they leave. So they leave, they go into like this kid playing place, where there's a lot of cartoons, a lot of animals, a lot of different characters, and they kind of blend in. So it's a sense of blending in with your surroundings to fit in. That's kind of what I got. When you're like a chosen one, you may look different, you may feel different, but it's a sense of fitting in, just to blend in, to get things done, to get a job done. And the head chief of the gun operation, their government operation, comes in, and Sonic is like, okay, first off, why you didn't tell us nothing about Shadow? What is Shadow? And what are we up against? And the gun chief is like, all right, you're not the first aliens to come here. About 50 years ago, there was another extraterrestrial energy that came here, and it came here in the form of a meteor. We thought it was a meteor. It landed in, I believe they said, Wisconsin or somewhere, Wyoming. I don't know. I can't remember the exact date, but it landed there, crashed there, and they thought it was just a meteorite. They took the meteor out and started to inspect it. Upon inspection, they found Shadow. And Shadow was just in the midst of it. Now, this makes me think of melanin. This makes me think of radiation. This makes me think of carbon. This makes me think of so many ether, spirit. This makes me think of so many different things. That holds Ethereum, this type of power, this type of just unexplainable outer space, stardust energy that cannot be controlled, cannot be contained. So they said they took him, they were examining him and running tests. As they began to run tests, they noticed that he was super powerful. He had this energy that could charge up anything, and this sense of chaos energy, that's what they called it chaos energy. We all know what that chaos dark matter energy really is, but I'll save that for another video. But so yeah, as he's charging up this huge key, they called this key the Eclipse something. It was like the Eclipse detonator key, which was basically this huge spaceship satellite beam thing that they charged up to shoot laser beams out of. It kind of gave me a sense of CERN or a bloom beam or satellites or direct energy weapons, heart, all these different things is kind of what it was being charged up as. Okay, so as he charged it up, his power was so much that it exploded the whole like test room that they were in. So they shut him down, confined him, because they don't even know how to control his power. He doesn't even know how to control his power. And so they locked him up. They put him in a cryo state, and they said they left him in cryo state for 50 years. Well, they left him there until he started to be awakened. They don't know what awakened him. And Sonic was like, wow, like, that's amazing. I didn't know that. I wish I would have knew sooner. Thank you for letting me know. In the midst of them having this conversation, a whole bunch of egg bombs come in, and it's like these drones, a whole bunch of drones come in, and which is interesting because we've been dealing with a lot of drone ET encounters lately. So I was like, wow, how on point is this in the age of technology, right? So These drones come in, they start blowing up everything. They shooting bombs at Sonic, shooting bombs at the chief, shooting bombs everywhere, and the whole place explodes. They didn't care it was kids in there. They didn't care. I'm like, yo, this is madness, pure madness, right? So as they blow it up, the chief gets hurt, and someone comes in on a motorbike and put a whole bunch of detonators on all the bombs, detonates the bombs, deactivates the bombs, and then they ride off. And Sonic is like, who was that? Everybody's like, who is that just came in and saved the day? They ride off. Sonic is looking at the chief, and he's like, Chief, are you okay? Chief is barely able to say his last breath. He's like, Sonic, you're the only one I trust with this information. Here's the key. He hands Sonic a key. The key looks like a third eye, or it looks like the black sun. It got a lot of synchronicities and symbols in the key, but he gives him the key. He's like, you're the only person that I trust with this key. And everybody else I don't trust. I don't know what's going on, but here, take it. Soon as Sonic takes the key, he dies, and they're like, oh no, like, what are we gonna do? The chief is dead. The chief of gun is dead. And then the other gun corporation people come in. Sonic is trying to get out of there, and then they're like, oh no, Sonic killed the chief. It looked bad. Sonic didn't kill the chief. If you were there, you would know that. But coming in, the chief is dead, and Sonic is running and leaving. It looked like Sonic killed him, but they didn't. So now Gun is like, we knew we shouldn't have trust Sonic. These ETs are they're unpredictable. So Sonic runs off, and he's like, okay. Sonic and his team, Knuckles and Tails, are like, okay, those were Robotnik's ships, drones, and Robotnik is dead. So we need to figure out who this copycat of Robotnik is. We need to get down to the bottom of this. As soon as they say we get down to the bottom of it, the person who was on the bike rides up, and it's Robotnik's what is it? His ally, his friend. He takes off his mask, and they're like, what were you doing? Like, that, you know, it's a copycat out there of you, and Robotnik is dead. Like, what's going on? He's like, come on, y'all. I got something I want to show y'all. It's something I got to show you guys. And he takes Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails down to the bottom of like these tunnels. So they go in these tunnels, and then as they're going in these tunnels, it flashes to the soap opera, and the soap opera is going back and forth. This lady comes on, she's like, oh, I love you so much. And this man is coming out, and he's like, yeah, I love you too, but how could you do this to me? And then it pans over to his brother, and he was like, how could you leave me for my twin brother? And she's like, oh, I don't know, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, wow, the twin brother, like, twins is Gemini energy. That's the portal. Okay, so and then it's like this dualistic nature, like with the shadow and someone impersonating Robotnik, but it wasn't Robotnik. So it was a lot of like shadow, intimate, like impersonation, just trickery going on, a lot of mind play, a lot of illusions going on within the mind. You thinking it's one person, but it's really not. Tricks being played on the mind to give it a sense of it being something else, false illusions seeming real. So then it pans out to who is watching the soap opera, and it's Robotnik. Okay, he's sitting there eating a bean burrito, fat, just belly all out, like, oh, this is what I should have been doing years ago. Forget trying to save the world. Forget trying to take over the world. Forget trying to do anything. Like, he like, oh, I'm over it. Like, I'm over being a bad guy. These little aliens keep trying to kill me. I'm done having this power, the sense of power. And he turns around, and in the midst of him turning around, he sees Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and his assistant. And he's like, why didn't you tell me you had guests? Like, and then not only the guest is my arch nemesis, Sonic. And then Sonic is like, wait, hold up. Before you even jump the gun, before you start trying to jump bad on me, somebody out here trying to impersonate you. First off, that's number one. Robotnik immediately gets mad. He's like, what you mean somebody trying to impersonate me? They can't impersonate me. And his assistant is like, yeah, no, someone out there is controlling our drones. And he's like, Robotnik's like, oh my God, my babies, not my babies. Like, how they get my babies? Like, oh nah. So that filled him up, his ego. Like, oh nah, they didn't got my babies. Like, y'all know I worked hard on my inventions and my craft, and somebody's trying to take credit for the evil things that I've done. Oh nah, I'm not having it. So he literally fixed himself back up, shaves his head, fixed his mustache, put on his coat. He like, I hate to say it, but we're going to have to team up, Sonic. And Sonic's like, I don't want to do this. I got trust issues. You already tried to kill me twice, but we got to get to the bottom of what's really going on here. So, and it's this sense of teaming up with people that you don't get along with for the same cause, okay? So if you guys have the same beliefs, put aside your differences to work together on a common goal to execute that, because once again, it's a bigger picture being played out here, right? So they go out. Tails is using her thing. She's like, okay, I found the energy signature of where all of these things are coming from, and they're coming from a hidden cave in somewhere. I can't remember the name. So they're like, okay, well, we got to go there. So let's go there. So they finally get to the place. As they're coming closer to the place, they're like, okay, how are we going to break in? So Knuckles is like, easy. Boom. He knocks down the wall. Wall's broken into. Robotnik's like, I should have known. You're back to your old anger, punching down walls ways. And Knuckles like, yeah, like that's what I do. Duh. Like, it's a no-brainer. You want to sit up here and calculate everything, but sometimes simple ways work better. Everything doesn't all have to be so calculated out. So they walk in and they're like, wow, this looks like an old facility. Like this looks like an old military base, an old cryostasis place, but it hasn't been used in years. And they're like, okay, if we want to find this energy signature, then we have to split up, because there's 3 different pathways how we're going to find it. So we split up. And Sonic and Robotnik go together. Knuckles goes down one thing by himself, and then Tails and the assistant goes down one way. So Knuckles is going by himself. He's like, oh, it's dark, mind you. Knuckles is like, oh, like, I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of ghosts. Like, and then a steam pipe busts and he's like, ah, like he's scared. I'm like, oh, you got all this muscle, but you a sucker. Like, you really scared of the dark. Like, so funny. And then in the midst of him jumping and being scared, he turns around and then Shadow is right there. And Shadow's like, boo. And then he really screams. Everybody kind of in movie theater screamed. It was one of them jump scare things. Like, they only show his face, and as soon as they pan around to the camera, you see Shadow, and he like, boo. So everybody screamed. Then he disappeared. So then it goes to Tails and the assistant. And then Tails is asking the assistant, like, that's one thing I love about working with Sonic, is that we're a family, we're a team, we're like best friends. She was like, isn't that what it's like with you and Robotnik? And the assistant is like, he's thinking like, no, like he don't even respect me. But he was like, he didn't want his ego to get in the way. So he was like, yeah, we are best friends. And then in that instant, Shadow pops up and they both scream, and Shadow takes both of them. And then on the last final pan, it goes to Sonic and Robotnik, and Sonic and Robotnik is rocking down the road, and then you just hear this singing, and this person that is singing, they're coming out of the fog, coming out of the shadows, and you can see Robotnik looking like, this person sounds like me. They show his reflection. This person looks like me. And then they finally reveal him, and it looks like an older Robotnik. And he's like, are you a clone? You're the person that's been impersonating me. Hold on, wait. Like, he ready to go to war. And then the other person is like, wait, hold up. Before you jump gun, you don't even know you my grandson. And he's like, what? He's like, no. Like, okay, if I'm your grandson, what's the longest word in the dictionary? And they say the longest word in the dictionary together. Then he's like, okay, that's one test. So he does these series of tests. He passed all the tests. Then at the end, he pulls out this like quail and he zaps himself with his tongue. If you know anything about Robotnik, is that he loves power. That's his thing. So he always gets a sonic quail and zaps himself with his tongue. And it gives him the sense of electricity. And then as soon as he does that, he's like, oh, Papa, like, you really are my grandfather. Like, I never seen you. And then he was like, wait a minute. Like, I never seen you. Like, where you been at? Like, what's up? And his grandfather was like, well, first off, you looking at the cage that they had me in for the last 50 years. I've been stuck here. They had me in jail due to some bad experiments that happened in the past. And I'm here to let you know that I'm free and I'm never going to be leaving you again. So join forces with me because I'm about to take over the world. And Robotnik is sitting there like, okay, first off, hell yeah. And second off, I've been wanting a family member for so long. And not only do I have a family member, I have someone that's, you know, gonna take over the world with me. And then Sonic is like, wait, no. In the midst of Sonic saying that, Shadow pops up, boom, locks him up. He chains up all three, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and the assistant. They're all chained up. And then Robotnik and his grandfather they're getting ready to leave. And he was like, thank you so much, Sonic. I came here to help you, but I'm leaving here with something even better than what I thought. And then Sonic is like, see, this is why I had trust issues. And you was asking me why I had trust issues. And this is why. So Sonic is like, okay, we got to figure out a way to get out. And then Shadow gets it's like this little ring. And then he throws it in the air. They get in a ship and they leave. As soon as he throws it in the air, this black hole appears. And Tails is like, you guys, that's a dark matter black hole. We have to get out of here as quick as we can because everything is going to go into the black hole. And then before Shadow had left, Shadow had got the key from Sonic. So he tied up Sonic, took the key, and then they left. And then Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails are like, okay, how are we going to get out? Knuckles is like, I still got one more portal, one more ring so we can get up out of here. So they throw the ring. The black hole is taking in everything. They throw the ring. They get pulled back into a portal. And they make it out, luckily. And then the whole place is disintegrated. As the whole place is disintegrating, it pans to Robotnik. And he's like, okay, I've been trying to kill Sonic for years. You killed him in one take. I'm with you. We gonna write this thing out. He was like, okay, well, we got to go get the other parts of the key. We got the first part to the key. And it's going to take 4 hours to get there. So why don't we bond while we on our way to go get there? So they're bonding. They put on these, what are those? Hologram goggles. So they're playing, they're bonding, he's teaching them how to ride a bike, he's teaching them how to dance, he's doing all of these bonding things. So I'm like, wow, you know, it's really never too late to bond with our elders, bond with our family. It's nothing like that bonding time. And I noticed like the whole key with this movie was the reason why these people were so evil, the reason why Shadow was so evil was from the lack of love, the lack of family. The reason why Robotnik was so evil was from the lack of love, the lack of no family. So they were spending this bonding time, and then Robotnik kind of had this sense of this love, this peace, this wholeness. He was feeling whole again. And so yeah, they were just bonding that whole time. Then it pans back to Sonic. And then Sonic is like, okay, if we gonna get out, we gonna need some help. We need Tom and his wife to help us. So they go back to Tom and his wife, and they're like, yeah, sure, we'll help you. We was bored anyway. We ain't had nothing to do. They're like, okay, so we're gonna have to go to London in order to get the second key because they already got the key. So they're like, okay, cool. We on our way to London. And they're on their way to London, mapping out a plan. They're like, okay, so Sonic's gonna go in. We have to get past their barrier. And then after we get past their barrier, there's a whole bunch of lasers. After we get past the lasers, we have to get the key. The key will be in this room. It's heavily guarded. Nobody knows what it looks like. We're going in this blind. So you have to use just, you know, your instincts to kind of guide you. And I thought that was pretty interesting because, you know, when you're in this winter solstice energy, you're kind of blind. The winter, the darkness, it's the darkest. And you kind of just kind of go with the flow and see where that takes you. So in the midst of them mapping out their plan, Tails is like, oh no, I got 2 heat thermal bodies activated in this area where we're trying to break into. It's Robotnik and his grandpa. We gotta hurry up and act fast because they're already down there on it. So it pans back to where Robotnik is at, and they have on these like thermal invisible suits. Nobody can see them. They're just easily walking past the guards. They start to dance. They're just playing the whole time. Shout out to Jim Carrey. I say this man is one of the best actors ever. He was literally playing himself in himself, like on some Professor Clump stuff, just going crazy. And I really appreciate it. It was so funny and very entertaining at the same time. So shout out to him for killing it. And they get towards the end. As they're getting towards the end to unlock the key, Sonic rushes in, okay? And as Sonic is rushing in, everything just stops. And they're pulled down by gravity. Robotniks are pulled down by gravity, and Sonic is pushed up by gravity. And then everything stops. And then the gun headquarters people, because that's where they were trying to break into, the gun headquarters to get the final key. And the next up chief was a woman. She walks in and she's like, yeah, I knew you guys were coming. I set up this gravity defense mechanism so you guys can't get this key, and nobody's going to be able to get this key. As soon as she get ready to get the key, Shadow appears in her face and he punches her, takes the key. A whole bunch of army people come in, and it's just a war. It's just an all-out war. Everybody's fighting. It's just crazy chaos. Knuckles arrives there. Tail arrives there. And it's just like a free-for-all. Everybody just fighting. And in the end, everybody is pinned down by the gravity machine, because Knuckle gets a hold of the gravity machine. He punches it. It goes chaos. And it goes haywire and it pulls everybody down. So now everybody's fighting to get to the key. The head gun lady gets the key. She pulls it. She leaves. Tom, he says, I have an idea. So he walks out dressed up as the original chief, and he asks her for the key. She gives him the key. He walks off. Shadow pops up. He's like, oh, that's the head chief that had me in cryo state for years. So he punches him a super crazy charged up punch. This wasn't no regular punch. It damn near killed Tom. So when he punched him, because Tom is really the chief, he disguised himself with clone technology, a skin suit, whatever you want to call it, and to make himself look like him. He punched him so hard it knocked him out of the costume that he was in, and then Tom reappeared, and then Shadow was looking like, oh snap, like I didn't know that was Tom under there. And then in the midst of him realizing that, and he got the key, Sonic walks in, and Sonic is like, Tom? Like, and then he looks up at Shadow. He's like, what did you do to Tom? Like, you killed Tom? Like, Shadow's like, now you know the pain that I felt. And he dipped off. Bloom disappears. Everybody rushes in. Tom has to get rushed out. Everybody gets rushed out because, like I said, it was a huge fight. Ambulance come. Come, and then Sonic is just infused with rage. Like, he's like, man, he killed my family. He's trying to take away my family. He's hurt. Everything's not gonna be okay. I need the Chaos Emerald right now. Knuckles, where did you put it? Knuckles like, now you know we took an oath. I can't give you the location of the Chaos Emerald. Sonic is like, if you don't tell me where this Chaos Emerald at, we just gonna fight until you tell me. And Knuckles like, I can't tell you. Like, that we made an oath. And Tails is like, you guys calm down, because they getting charged up, their eyes lit, like you could see the rage. Knuckles is like, you letting this rage, you letting this anger consume you. And I know we took an oath, but if it's for justice, then I'm gonna let you know where it's at. So he let Sonic know where the Chaos Emerald is at. Sonic go gets the Chaos Emerald. He turns into Super Sonic, the Gold Sonic, the God Body Sonic, okay? And he goes to look for Shadow. Now Shadow has the second key because it's jumping around so much, y'all. So that's why I'm everywhere with it, because that's how the movie was. You just gotta try to keep up, all right? But Shadow goes to Robotnik in their spaceship, and he's like, I got the second key. And then Robotnik grandpa is like, all right, cool, you already know what time it is. They took away everything you had. Charge up this machine with that energy. Charge this machine up with that chaos energy. And Shadow goes into like this, you could tell he's letting that anger fill him up, and he starts to run around the room, run around the building, run around the ship, and charges up the ship. As he's doing that, Robotnik's like, so what is he doing? Like, what's going on? And Robotnik's grandpa's like, oh, he's just charging up this energy weapon with chaos energy, and we're just gonna, destroy Earth. And Robotnik's like, what? Destroy Earth? He said, wait. I don't want to destroy Earth. I just want to control the people on Earth. Like, I just want to rule the Earth. I don't want to kill everybody on it. And then Robotnik's grandpa's like, I don't know why you so in love with these people on Earth. They never cared about you. He was like, look at how they treated you. All your life, they did you wrong. All your life, they didn't care. Like, and then he was like, you don't got one person down there that care about you anyway. And then Robotnik, you could tell he started to think about his friend. Like, well, my friend does care about me. And he was like, you know what? He was like, I don't like this idea. And I don't want to blow up the Earth. He was like, I don't want this to go down like this. And it pans to Shadow, and Shadow is, like I said, filling up the energy weapon with hate. And it pans to what really happened when the whole energy room blew up. And they were playing around, him and his friend, they called her Maria. Him and Maria were playing around. The grandpa Robotnik came in and said, hey, we gotta go. They're trying to take Shadow. They're trying to say Shadow's trying to hurt you. Let's leave. So they're all running. They leave. The army comes in, and they're getting ready to shoot at shoot at Shadow. And then when they shoot, they miss. They hit a fuel tank. The fuel tank blows up. And that's what really caused the explosion. It was not Shadow. It was them shooting at Shadow, and they tried to blame it on Shadow. And Maria dies. And so Shadow was thinking about that, and he's like, yeah, like they took away everything I had. So I'm about to fuel this whole tank up with this energy. And then it pans back to Robotnik, and Robotnik is like, nah, like I'm not okay with this. So we gonna have to fight. We're gonna have to fight it out and figure it out what we gonna do, because I'm not okay with this plan at all. So as they're going back and forth, they're fighting, they're dancing, they don't agree on certain things. And then it pans to Sonic. And Sonic is, you could see him coming in like a golden ray of light, like a missile, like a shooting asteroid, like a ship, okay? They didn't know what it was. It was like, what is that? He came in like a beam of light. And they were like, what is that? And as he's coming up, Shadow's like, don't worry, I got him. So Shadow goes down to get Sonic, and they're fighting. Okay, they're fighting. They're fighting all across the world, all in the air. Sonic punches Shadow really hard and knocked him on the moon. And while they're on the moon, Sonic pins Shadow down, and he's like, Shadow's talking to Sonic. He's like, yeah. He was like, you filled up with that same rage that I had. He was like, over your family. He was like, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and kill me. Like, and then Sonic remembered, he had that flashback of what Tom said, don't let that hate consume you. Don't let the anger consume you. And then he stopped, and he like, nah, like this hate ain't even me. This anger ain't even me. Like, I'm not even about to let this consume me. And Shadow like, what you mean? He was like, you got me right where you want me. Like, you about to win. Why you give up? He was like, cuz. He was like, I don't move from hate. He was like, I move out of love. He was like, love is way more powerful than hate and anger. And then he was like, that's what you're doing all of this for. He was like, you remembering that the pain and the anger. He's talking to Shadow. But Sonic is like, what about the love? He was like, that's what Maria wanted you to remember. Maria wanted you to remember the good times. And then Shadow flashed to when he was looking at the stars. And then he could see all of the stars while he was on the moon. He was like, you know what, Sonic? You're right. He was like, I'm doing this all for the wrong reasons. He was like, I was so engulfed in my anger. He was like, I didn't even see the goodness in anything. And Sonic was like, exactly. So he was like, come on, let's put an end to this. Let's go back to the ship and stop this beam before it disintegrates all of Earth. And they're like, okay, boom. So they spiral together. They make a big circle. To me, this looked like some Kundalini stuff. When you merge with your shadow self, your light self, your dark, your light, your masculine, your feminine. When you do that shadow work, when you do that healing work, you rise above and you tap into your heart chakra and enlighten yourself and become one with your shadow, that dark. Okay, so they go to the ship. As they're going to the ship, Robotnik and Robotnik's grandpa, they're still fighting. In this scene is still like blazing in my head. After they merge together, after Sonic and Shadow become one, soon as it pans back to Robotnik and his grandpa fighting, Robotnik turns into a scorpion. He has these claws and this Scorpio tail, and he hits the technology and messes up some things in the room. And I was like, wow, I took that as Scorpio season is going to challenge us to merge with our shadow and our light self. To do that internal work is going to test us to see if we can rise above, and then we will elevate into our higher selves if we can. And then it panned over to Robotnik, and Robotnik turned into a praying mantis with these claws, but he had wings. And I was like, wow, like this is most definitely like the elevation of self when you rise above, going from the Scorpio to the Phoenix, okay? So as he's flying around, Robotnik's grandpa, he grabs Robotnik, throws him down. He's like, any last words before you die? Robotnik's like, no, because you know he'd be operating out of ego all the time. He's like, no, I ain't got nothing to say to you. He's like, okay, fine. Boom, he drops him down through a hole in outer space. He get pulled in. Then the grandpa's like, yes, I have the ultimate power. I'm gonna press the button and end the world, and you know, blah blah blah. And then as he's giving his speech, you see Knuckles and Tails pulling up Robotnik out of the hole through a portal. And Robotnik kicks his grandpa into the chaos energy, and he dies. And I'm just like, wow, what a way to go out. You get consumed by the same thing that you built, and it destroyed you. Okay, that fuel for that hate and that hunger and that anger consumed him. Okay, so as they defeated him, they're like, yeah, we beat him. Now how to turn off this energy weapon. And then they're trying to figure it out. They can't figure it out. And then Robotnik is like, you know what? It's not going to cut off. It's no way to turn off this chaos energy. We just kind of have to let it be, and it is what it is. So in that moment, Sonic and Shadow come up, and they're both like, okay, we became one. What we got to do now, we got to figure out a master plan to stop this beam from shooting up all of Earth. And Robotnik is like, well, the only thing that we really can do is move the beam away from Earth. And then Sonic like, how are we going to do that? Shadow's like, I'll move it. I'll charge it up with my energy to move it. And Sonic is like, okay, cool. While you do that, I'm going to absorb the energy as it's getting shot off, because it's going to go off and we can't stop it. And then Robotnik is like, okay, cool. I'm going to just stay up here and try to control it and shut it off. So they like, 1, 2, 3, go. They do that. The beam goes off. Boom. A big blast of light is going off in the cosmos that you can see from Earth. And Sonic is taking the energy, blocking the energy. As Sonic is blocking the energy, Shadow is moving the ship and Robotnik and Tails are putting in the codes to cut it off. So as they're moving it, they finally cut it off. It cuts off a little bit of the moon, but they're like, okay, oops, we did the main thing we was supposed to do, right? And as Sonic was taking all of that pressure, he finally like lets go. He passes out. As he's passing out, Knuckles is like, you got to go save him. Knuckles is like to Tails, you got to go save him. Tails like, okay, boom. Tails go down with the key. As Tails trying to save him, Tails pass out, okay? And as Tails pass out, Knuckles comes and saves both of them. And it made me think like, wow, you need all three. You need the Trinity. You need the mind, the body, and the spirit. You need the teamwork. Teamwork make the dream work for this whole thing to come alive and work properly. So they go down. They crash land safely. As soon as they crash land safely, Robotnik and Shadow are like, this thing is about to blow. It's been a great run, and there's no better way that I'll go out saving the world. And the whole ship explodes. It's this beautiful ray of light in the cosmos, and everybody could see it. And then Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic are like, wow, they sacrificed themselves for us, for Earth, for everybody to live and survive. Like, wow, like we're truly proud of them, and we will always work together. We'll always be a team and always fight for justice. And that was pretty much how the movie ended. They went back to camping, went back to racing, and as the movie ended, this came on after the credits. Sonic is running. He's running in the middle of the woods, and he runs so fast, it said, New York, welcome to New York. He said, oh, okay. Welcome to New York. All right. I've never been here, but I love to check it out. And you just see these red glowing eyes in the back. And before I could even think of who it was, my son is like, Metal Sonic, because my son loves Sonic. I'm like, Metal Sonic. And then all you see is these lights, and then these a big blast. And Sonic is like, oh, whatever you are, you must know I'm the fastest thing in the universe. If you're gonna have to catch me, you better make sure you spot on with your hit. And then a whole bunch of red eyes pop up, and it's like an army of Metal Sonics. And I'm just like, oh, here we go with the AI, the drone versus the AIs taking over right now with the robots, okay? And soon as Sonic is getting ready to fight, you just see this hooded person come with a hammer, come in and hit all of the robots and knocks them all out and save Sonic, because Sonic was he's gonna have a good old fight on his hands. And then they take off their hood, and it's Amy. It's the girl Sonic, the girl hedgehog, and everybody goes crazy. They're like, oh, it's Amy. So, and then that's how it ends. So I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a number 4. But for me, this was just a beautiful movie of working together, fighting for justice, operating from your heart, doing your shadow work, and not being afraid to express yourself, okay? Staying synced, and always staying in tune with yourself. And it's okay to feel, it's okay to love, it's okay to be angry, but never let that consume you, okay? To elevate and become one with yourself. There most definitely be a number 4. I can't wait. And I feel like this will be the rise of the divine feminine going against this technology, because that's just what the ending was. So I feel like it's going to be another great movie. But yeah, that was just kind of my breakdown, my review, my decoding, and I suggest everybody go see it. It was so much stuff going on, so entertaining, so funny. I cried, okay, I laughed, I was shocked, I was surprised. It was just a beautiful movie. So yeah, Sonic 3 was amazing. I suggest everybody go see it, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and until next time.